Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Glad I can see your smiling faces, although I actually can't. I actually took the quote straight from Peter McKinnon. But anyway, now you may have noticed a couple of differences, namely my mustache. So you're gonna have to deal with that for the time being. In fact, probably for a while in upcoming videos. But like it or hate it, I'm gonna stick with it for the time being. So just deal with it. But the second thing is, more importantly, if you look over my shoulder, you can see a device that, well, has been a while since I've played it, and really I've been wanting to review the system. So, as you probably guessed it by the title of this video, it is the PlayStation 2. So, if you know me pretty well, and there are a lot of you who do, you would know that I am a avid car fanatic, especially if you follow my other channels, Shubham Sawant and SuperSpeed. So it should come as no surprise as to what games I like, namely these two games, before I switched to an Xbox and started playing Forza. Yeah, but before I went to Forza, these were my favorite games, namely Gran Turismo 5 and its successor, Gran Turismo 6. So today we're going to check out how these games actually play, how they compare to current systems, and how they might compare to the future PlayStation 5 and whatever Gran Turismo's successor is. So without further ado, let's get started. It is quite a bit different from your conventional Xbox controller. Now, of course, you have your joysticks, your left and right joysticks. You have your main home button, your start select button, your different controls. I obviously use these for racing. I use these for left and right, accelerator, brake, handbrake, and reverse. So yeah, and then you have your toggle switches on the back for your R1, R2, and your L1, L2. Overall, the newer systems are considerably more advanced and up to date compared to the PlayStation 2, but overall, not bad. I actually prefer the control layout of this. If y'all can see it, there you go. I actually prefer the control layout to this, but overall, not too bad. So the grips aren't that great compared to the newer ones, and even the Xbox One controller is better suited than this. But overall, not bad. So obviously there's some wear and some dust, even though I cleaned it. But yeah, there's some dust on it. But overall, not a bad controller. And obviously you can play it wireless. Now I have a wired hooked up to it just so it can charge while I'm playing. But yeah, you can also have it wirelessly. So let's get started. Now, I do apologize in advance. I do not have speakers on my computer yet. I've been slacking because I've been using my headphones. So, sorry if you can't hear the audio at all, for that matter. I do apologize for that. But we're just going to look at the gameplay for the meantime. And if you're an avid Gran Turismo fan, you would know the startups music and their intro for Gran Turismo. In fact, all Gran Turismo intros are pretty awesome. They had some cool songs and quite excellent footage of their gameplay. So overall, double thumbs up for that. Ooh, okay. So yeah, we had our GT mode, arcade mode, course maker, Gran Turismo TV. Let's go to arcade mode first, cause that is where I like to play the most. So yeah, you had your different races that you could do: single race, time trials, drift trials, which I really sucked at, and then 1v1 battles. But yeah, let's go to single race. Let's try. I went straight to the professional level because well, I just like going through. I like challenging stuff. I like having challenging components or opponents. Excuse me. But yeah, you had your different tracks. The world famous Nürburgring should actually no, the GP circuit for the Nürburgring is here, but you have to obviously go up levels in order to get to the world famous full circuit Nürburgring. And let's see, we had Fuji, Suzuka, the Daytona. We don't. There are some tracks that are missing here because you obviously have to win certain challenges and different events in order to gain tracks in different cars. So yeah, your city circuit. This was one of my favorites, the high speed special stage route 7. Dirt and snow. Yeah, these were pretty good too. And then my courses. I still actually have some of my courses here still. That's interesting. Okay, but yeah, let's try something here. Let's try. Okay, let's try a night circuit first. So Gran Turismo has come a long way. In fact, all racing games, for that matter, have come a long way in their circuit layout and just showing how the circuit is laid out. Now, the one thing I've noticed in Gran Turismo is that especially if you look at the replays, and at night, not all cars' headlights reflect on the scenery. So your cars and probably 2 to 3 cars within your proximity close by have their headlights bouncing back into scenery, whereas the other cars around you just have their headlights on. They don't bounce back. So newer games like Forza and the updated Gran Turismo Sport, they have basically older cars' headlights, basically reflecting from the scenery. But I just thought that was a noteworthy thing to point out. And yeah, if you look at the cars now, Gran Turismo 5, they really came a long way from Gran Turismo 4. Well, partly because this was a new system for the place. They were playing with the new PlayStation 3 rather than the PlayStation 2, but also in the fact that you can have like a inboard driver's view of the cockpit was a revolutionary term, and it had a full vivid experience at the time. Nowadays, basically all racing games have that, so it's not nothing really special anymore. But yeah, let's choose a car. Let's. So these are cars based off of, I would say, the most recent year being 2008, 2009, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so we have a 2008 Gallardo, Tune G37, S2000, even 2010 SLS AMGs. The MP412C, I remember the MP412C when it came out, how people were astonished for McLaren's first road car. It was amazing. You have your Castrol Supra. Even it had NASCAR race cars. 2011 Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon's race car. Ooh, if only I had my sound on for the Zonda R. That would have been something. But okay, let's just choose a car. No more fooling around here. Let's try the Audi R8. I like that Gran Turismo offered you a variety of colors that you can choose from, rather than just having like a select like customary colors like red, blue, black, white, maybe a silver, gray here or there. But you have like different coats of green and black and silver and white, and well, let's just go with red. Why did I say read? Let's just go with red. Now I don't know about you, but I would choose manual, but given the fact that I don't know the shift buttons for this, I'm just gonna leave it automatic for now. Traction control, let's leave it at 0. EBS, let's leave it at 10. Real and light. So this is typically my settings back when I played it, if I remember correctly, except this would have been a manual, but let's leave it automatic for now. But yeah, this would have been my typical settings, and overall, I really enjoyed playing with this. Now, I did have a PlayStation 2, and I played Gran Turismo 4 before this. And so, jumping from Gran Turismo 4 to Gran Turismo 5, it was a pretty substantial difference, if you ask me. Now, that being said, jumping from Gran Turismo 5 to Gran Turismo 6, it was minute. There were some changes here and there, but overall it wasn't as big of a jump as it was from Gran Turismo 4 to Gran Turismo 5. So let's see if we can do any additional tunings here and there. No, I think we should be good. So as you can see, the overall viewability of the course, it is pretty good. It was pretty detailed. You can see the light in the distance, sort of like having the aurora. Well, let's say reflection. You can see in the distance the reflection of the lights, the car's headlights bouncing off the road. But if you look really closely, the car's headlights aren't really bouncing off from the scenery. But overall, it was pretty good, really good. In fact, this will still be passable in today's time. So it was a really good, it was a really good rain. So it really had great viewability of the scenery and even the cars themselves. Now, okay, let's see. I think we should be good. So let's get started. All right, let's do this. Now, I do apologize for not having any sound, but as you can see, the cars. Now, if you look closely, the cars are reflecting off the road. But if you look in the distance, it's not. The other cars aren't really having as much reflection off the road as the cars near me do. So yeah, you can see the detail in the cockpit of this Audi R8, and ooh, I need to get used to these buttons here. And yeah, it was really good. Now compared to newer systems that we have in newer games that we have for Forza, and I don't know about Gran Turismo Sport, but I'm sure they do. Uh, you can actually view left and right, which I'm not sure you could do in this one. But that being said, you can obviously blow the horn, which is kind of weird. But I guess if you're playing with other people, then I guess that would be fun. And you can put your high beams, turn on your high beams and low beams on this, which again I found not particularly noteworthy when you're playing against AI, but when you're just playing with different people, having different players, then I guess. Sorry for the interruption, but yeah. So where was I? I was, I guess, at the gameplay. So yeah, basically, there was. I love that you can do certain things on the. Oh dear. Oh dear. Okay. Yeah. So, my fault. But basically, my L1 button got stuck, which is to look back. So I did lose some positions there, and I have. Since my damage is on low, my right front tire got damaged a little bit, but it got remedied pretty quickly. So yeah, overall this was a great experience. I played a ton of Gran Turismo 5, so there, I didn't really have a favorite car, so to speak, but there were obviously the supercars were my favorites, but yeah, let me just get back past this Aston Martin. There we go. But yeah, Gran Turismo 5 really set the bar of what racing games would be from that point forward, and you can obviously see that in the games today. Now, I think finished in the exact same position that I started. Ooh, yeah, I haven't improved at all. But yeah, they had a great selection of cars. Now, one of the criticisms that Gran Turismo 5 had in particular was that they had some of their, in fact, probably half of their cars that weren't as quote unquote up to the standards compared to some of the other cars that they had. Now, as you can see, in some of these cars here, you can actually see the interior of the car, have all the details of the seats, the instrument panel, the infotainment system, and so on. But some of the cars, particularly the older ones, and the ones that were used in Gran Turismo 4, they weren't really up to the standards compared to the newer cars that they had at that time. So you couldn't really see the inside. The PPI for the older cars, which it was pretty noticeable compared to the newer cars that they had. You can see the different pixel densities from the older Gran Turismo 4 cars and the newer ones. So that was one of the criticisms that they had, and I myself were criticizing that too, because I didn't really understand why they didn't have older cars. Why didn't have older cars up to the newer car standards for pixel density, but I can't. I don't really have the answer for that. So it was just some of the criticisms that they had. Now, if you look at the replay here, as we're looking at, you'll notice what I'm talking about. That the headlight reflection on my car and the couple other cars that are close by are pretty good. But as soon as you look at the other cars off in the distance, you can just see their headlights. They're not really reflecting off of the environment basically, and also the dynamics of like the smoke and the tire marks and the damage is really pretty good, especially for back in that time, which I would say is around 2009 2010 basically. It was pretty good. Now we take for granted when we're playing games how we can see the damage of cars on Forza, and you have like your mechanical damage, you have your cosmetic damage, you have your how much tire pressure, tire thread you have on, if they're getting warm or cold, how much fuel you have left. We take that for granted now when we play racing games, but back when, especially when Gran Turismo 5 came along, it was really setting a new standard. So overall, it really set the standard for what we nowadays play for racing games. Now, if you go to dealerships, this is probably the holy grail of Gran Turismo, and basically really looking throughout the dealerships. You had your tune cars on one side, and then you had your standard manufacturers here. Let's say if we go to Ferrari, for example. Not that I can afford any of their cars, either virtually or in real life, but man, you had your FI112BB, the Boxster Flat 12 or Flat 6. I forgot which one engine modification it had. The famous F40 California, and I believe the most recent one that they had was the California. Oh no, the 450 Italia. This was a remarkable car, and then you can obviously see the pixel density, and you can see the interior, the wheels, the brake calipers, everything was pretty good compared to the standard cars, which were pretty low, basic in comparison. But yeah, and then if you really want to step up your game, which I never got to do in Gran Turismo, but you can choose from the 2007 and 2010 F1 cars that they have with Michael Schumacher, I think. This is what I had, and this brought so much memories to not just only this, but the Gran Turismo as well. These two combined brought so many great memories when I was playing racing games with not just Gran Turismo, but Need for Speed, Burnout on Nintendo, Xbox, Forza on Xbox that I play today. So basically, without Gran Turismo 5, I don't think we would have the current Gran Turismo sports architecture or Xbox or Forza on Xbox architecture for that matter. Without having Gran Turismo 5, this really set the benchmark of how future racing games would be today. So with that, this wasn't really an exact review of the PlayStation as much as it was towards Gran Turismo, but it gives you an idea of how the gameplay was like with having 1080p and having the quick review of the specs that I gave you guys. But compared to what the current Xbox and PlayStation, and maybe even what the future Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 might be like, it really gives you an idea of just how far gaming consoles and games in general have come over the years in the past decade. And with that, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what were some of your favorite games and favorite consoles in the comments down below. And maybe if you want me to review any other electronics that I can probably find within my house that you guys probably don't know of. That was an awkward statement to say. But with that, hope you guys enjoyed my mustache, and until then, we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.